We're all owned by the Syndicate, body and soul. Or should I just say body?
Hello, filthy movie lovers, something weirdos, and anti-criterion bros, to the short ends, the first in a series of bite-sized bonus episodes where we present the loose odds and ends and ephemera that didn't exactly fit into our previous discussions. In this mini episode, we have some additional conversation from episode 4, in which we discussed director Andy Milligan's lost sexploitation movies and his 1968 film Seeds. The discussion that follows pertains to the ending of Seeds and the fate of several of its key actors, Anthony Muschietti, Candy Hammond, and Susan Cassidy, as well as the Caffe Cino-shot Milligan oddity, Compass Rose. A word of warning, the discussion ends fairly abruptly as this particular clip came at the end of a marathon 3-hour podcast session in which we apparently reached the time limit of our recording platform. Sorry about that.
And I guess the one surviving kid is the guy who paid for his wife's abortion under duress because he survived. He didn't even go home for Christmas.
Well, no, the one surviving kid is also Matthew, who's now insane. So one kid ran away.
I thought Matthew hung himself, did he not?
No, sorry, not Matthew. Michael's now insane.
Oh, Michael, that's right.
He snapped.
Yeah, so it's these two. It's these two crazy
Michael
people.
Snapped, and the other one is now has a kind of homicide on him. Has a homicide case now on him. So he runs off.
Right, and there's no will.
So who knows?
Right.
No. Well,
she explicitly said she wasn't going to write a will, right? She's like, I'm not writing.
Oh yeah,
right.
But I don't know.
Unless Mortimer has his own version of a will that because I think that's kind of hinted at with that is like he's very slyly smirking while he's like calling the police, and I'm like, there's no way you planned this yourself, but it makes me think he has something up his sleeve where it's like, well, I'm going to inherit all of this.
Well, also anyone who does have any paper is dead because the servants did make a will, making them the power of attorneys, but they were murdered. So who else would it go to? Maybe a trust fund to help Michael's treatment? Maybe a trust fund to help with Michael's having to be like institutionalized after?
Yeah, you hear him like whimpering at the end. Yeah, it's just like some of the last sounds you hear is him whimpering as he's like laying over her corpse. Like,
recite those nursery rhymes.
Speaking of Michael, I did want to talk about him just a little bit. Anthony Muschietti, who was in this, and I think was he in Gutter Trash or Tricks of the Trade?
He was in both and Compass Rose.
Yeah, he was part of that. This whole
I call it like the '68 era. He was part of like the '68 year.
Right. Well,
for quite a few. He comes. I invited Candy does.
Which Candy is interesting because they both leave at the same time.
Yeah. You did invite him.
I did invite him to that screening, and he did attend with his wife. And he was kind of surprised that anybody remembered any of these because he became a poet. And so he still lives in New York and he's involved with like a lot of poetry and public readings and things like that. So he doesn't really act anymore. So he came with his wife and there was a Q&A. I think the Q&A was the day he came. I think it was because he talked to John after. Oh, it wasn't.
No, he was there the first night. I was there for both. Seeds Q&A. You were there for both because the first night you did a Q&A for Vapors with Jerry. And that's the one that Anthony was at, but Patty wasn't at. Next night, Anthony wasn't there, but Patty was there.
All blends together. That's right. And so that was I'm glad you remember because it all flows together. That was a very busy week because there was also there was a lot of because there was Roberta for Women's Torment. I think was that week too.
I'm so jealous I had to leave that day. Oh God. Yeah, it was. But same next day.
Anthony seemed very shell shocked after because I don't think he'd seen the movie since '68. So I don't know what it was like watching that with his wife, but he really seemed like, wow, I did that. And he was not interviewed on the Blu-ray because I gave the information to Vinegar Syndrome, and that's how they interviewed John and Jerry Giacuzzo separately without me. And I gave them Moschini's information too. And I'm guessing he either said no or they didn't contact him. I'm gonna guess he said no though.
I think it was a no if I'm remembering correctly. I think it wasn't just
I think
a decline.
It was a no.
It was a soft decline. Yeah.
I think seeing it in a theater like that might have hammered that home. Been like, I don't regret doing it, but I don't really need to go back down the Andy Milligan road.
I mean, yeah. The sound was turned up. That was a loud screening. Like, it just, everything about that was very cacophonous.
Oh my God.
Between it was very Milligan. It was very loud. Yeah.
Between that and also the fact that Patty did not remember anything, so she was just laughing the whole time beside me. It was either Milligan screaming or Patty laughing, going, I don't remember any of this.
That's great.
Besides the inserts. Besides the inserted stuff.
Right, which she doesn't love.
As well.
Right. She ranted about that.
No.
Did you come to there was a screening of Torture Dungeon at Nighthawk Cinema that she and John both came to. And I raised my hand in the audience and asked about Seeds, and Patty was like, "Oh my God, he used," and immediately before John could answer any of my question, she said, "He used a body double for my scene in Seeds, and I'll never forgive him." The first thing.
That's what she said. I brought it to her. I was like, that's the first thing I think I said to her. Like after reading, I was like, "So, Patty, the inserts. I could have killed him. I mean, look at these." And she points to her chest in comparison to Candy's. I'm like, okay, yeah. Which, yeah.
But I think Milligan always used really good. But Milligan's casts were always really good, even in the horror films. I really wish we knew what happened to Susan Cassidy. I think she's good considering that she's not an actress. I don't think. Oh,
she became she had a long career as a offshore, goes with people to Europe as a tour guide kind of a thing. She's still in New York City. She's still in Manhattan, I think. I don't know if she's still around or not, because I haven't looked in a bit, but I have seen some more recent pictures of her. It's almost similar haircut too. It's her. It's Susan.
Okay.
I think, I think McDonough, she's reached out for the book or something subsequent, but never heard back from her.
Interesting.
Just kind of think I reached out to the right person, but didn't hear back or something like that. But as of a couple of years ago, she's still around. I want to say
that's interesting.
I'm a little hazy.
That's a pretty big regular. Because
she's in several movies.
Well, I think, she was in I think the last thing she was in was Bloodthirsty Butchers, right? Yeah.
Yes, and she was just one of Milligan's regular body doubles too. As well, if he ever needed inserts and things like that, she's in it, or her face is fully in it, but I think she's also a faceless double at some point in Compass Rose. She's one of the two doubles for Seeds. The first double is Candy. The second one later on is Susan. And she's also she's the sex slave in Gutter Trash and things like that. She was again one of these little tough cookie ladies who just could put up with Andy's BS.
Exactly. She's a good damsel in distress and Torture Dungeon,
Yeah. She probably, I don't know, who even knows she's an actual actor, kind of like Candy. She just was natural in a way,
Right. Actually, speaking of Candy, she is very good in this. And she has a very natural way with dialogue where it doesn't seem like she's reciting dialogue she learned. It seems like a conversation, the conversations with Maggie Rogers especially, just feels so natural. It just feels like she's having a conversation with somebody in a room. So when I learned she was not a professional and didn't come from the theater background that Milligan had, I was truly shocked because I don't know how you luck into finding somebody like that.
And that's probably, I don't know, maybe why that's probably, again, in the end, why, I don't know, if he was going to marry anyone, I guess. It could have been her, because, I don't know, right off the bat, well, he probably admired a lot of other things in her, because she's a very talented person. She'd come to New York to study fashion, and that's how they even met, was she lived around the corner from one of his dress shops. And she was always doing so much, from writing to illustration to design and everything like that. She was also, again, had so many multi-talents, kind of like Andy, in a sense. She's pretty much a very, admirable woman to him as well, being such a lovely, free spirit. I think the one thing that anyone will say about Candy is that she pretty much lit up a room wherever she went to, and she left her mark on everyone wherever she went.
It was so intense then. And I feel your intensity has grown through the years. As I sit next to you, like I am now, I can feel your nerve ends snap like electricity. You're cool on the outside, but on the inside you're like a volcano. You're just like the rest of us.
I totally see that. And I wish we had more film of her. I think it's this and Compass Rose, right? That's all we have.
Yeah, that's it. Gutter Trash is her other big one. And she's around, she's in the orgiastic scene and like Tricks of the Trade. She's just like another nude figure in that one, pretty much. That's about it. Yeah. And she's also pretty good as Ivy in Compass Rose. She's good in that character too. In that little airheaded little lady. It's not the same, it's not like kind of her playing herself. It's not the same kind of role that she's in Seeds, and she still embodies it well. This weird little
Gentry actually brought up Compass Rose, and I don't know, for when the Milligan box set was announced, I was really hoping Compass Rose would have been included in that, because it feels like such connective tissue between the Caffe Cino days and the sex days and the horror days. It all kind of comes together. Whether it's successful or not, I think is debatable. I really like it a lot, but I don't know if you had any inside scoop of why that wasn't included, where they're just, even as a VHS rip, I think that's all
audio
right
just
now.
Too bad.
No, there is. It wasn't. No, I do not know why those were in. I think I was not told. That was, let's just say that was none of my business. Pretty much whatever that was none of my business.
Bummer.
I just did some of my restoration things and like, hey, this might be around here if you want to go look for it. But no, it wasn't really any of that stuff. No, so not aware. But no, it has been scanned since even that VHS release, because it was on by NWR. Via
like the House of Seven Gables, right?
Yes, it was on
Seven
House of
Bells,
Seven
yeah.
Bells. They had scanned the existing 16 dupe that exists for it, which we're very lucky to have. That didn't come from Andy. That came from someone else from the Chino times, actually. They had that element with them. That's the only reason why that even exists. Yeah, for some odd reason, a dupe of the edited original was struck at some point, and that's what it is. That's the element that we have.
Wow. That's amazing.
And so the VHS rip was the most common one, which was literally, I think, McDonough just filmed that off of a moviola, just like filmed the screen, just to give Hal Borsky like a reference copy, something to see it, something to view. And then it was scanned, and they tried to do some work on it, but again, it was a 16 dupe of an already like pretty cheaply made film that already seemingly did have some big drops in audio originally when shooting, like not just an issue of the soundtrack being improperly duplicated and things like that. There did seem to be some sound stuff. That film didn't seem to be finished because, again, I saw an ad from JR announcing that as an upcoming release from them. And I'm wondering if, as part of the debacle with when Milligan saw the writing on the wall with all that, it just didn't end up being completed for whatever reason, because the guys he was going to finish it up and release it with turned sour.
Interesting. Well, is it possible that he had the script ready and that basically JR was like, okay, we're announcing this because we know that he has the script ready, or he was planning on it? I wonder if maybe he'd even started shooting it until after JR.
Maybe, I don't know. The ad just says here. It's one of those things that's like, we have all these titles, and then we have these titles in preparation
That show up in like Variety and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those from like 1968, I want to say.
That's very interesting.
They were preparing Ghastly Ones around the time for its bigger release by that point. They'd already done some pre-release engagements. So that's listed as being in release. So yeah, again, really lucky to have that, because again, that's the only instance we have of one of his very iconic black and white orgies too.
Yeah, the pies. Isn't that the one with the pie throwing sequences?
Even though it's a pie fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pie orgy.
Yes. Which is very interestingly shot, because if you slow it down, it looks like a lot of people, but if you slow it down, it's only 3 people on one bed. But he shoots it in such a way, it looks a hell of a lot busier and more like frenetic and frantic.
Right.
Some of the things in that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to rewatch that.
And you also get like Selena Robbins. You get people like Selena Robbins in that film as well. You get some of those other like little folks too, who we don't see otherwise.
Right.
Maya Reed,
I mean, it's very special movie. I mean, even basically, I think I'd only really recommend it to like dyed in the wool Milligan people, I think. Because it just has so many inside jokes about the people that he knew in the off-Broadway world. But I think also it's so interesting to see Maggie Rogers in such a very different kind of role from her surviving stuff. And I think you can appreciate that more knowing that she usually played completely different kind of roles for him. He really threw her a really interesting role with that.
You've watched the show. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I would like to see that more widely seen, but it is so deep, so deep dive into the Milligan world that it really is kind of like, I think that's probably the people who'd appreciate it most are people who already have been won over by his stuff.
Yeah, like I managed to finally put together all the pieces and all the characters and how it's all supposed to go after how many times I've like seen it, so I now properly understand how it should work out. But even then, it's still, in terms of its plot, still very niche to the art scene at the time.
Yeah.
And just to so many of those characters as well. Like, you just have to have appreciation for 60s New York and that whole scene to even properly appreciate it, even if you could understand some of the dialogue and stuff.
Yeah, didn't you write in your review, Alex, that, like, there's a character based on Hope Stansbury, so you kind of have to know who Hope was in the Caffe Cino scene to understand the character
there's a
Compass
couple...
Rose.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it does still work because it's still just like this weird, like, waifish actress.
Yeah.
It's still well conveyed in the movie. You don't really need to attribute it to Hope, but it's again one of those. It's very talky. It's very people like talking into a lot of rooms and not saying a lot. Like some of them he can say a lot of things, like tricks of the trade. As talky as it is, they do get a lot of interesting stuff in it. Compass Rose is literally a lot just like, do you think I should go do this? Maybe not. That just like does not.
It's very Warhol in that way. Yes, it is very Warhol.
That's why Andy hated
Warhol
it,
movies,
probably.
Virtually nothing happens. Yeah, and it's just like it's very Warhol-esque, and then it's basically a camera rolling. It feels sometimes a camera rolling on people just to capture them in a moment, and the dialogue is not important, or what happens isn't important, which is not true for the whole movie. But that is where it feels like the underground scene of New York.